Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. We're speaking today to a candidate for Pennsylvania State Senate, Scott Janney, right? Is that how you
Yes,
pronounce it?
that's right.
Scott Janney, rhymes with Annie. That's right. And he is running as a Republican candidate for, what is it, what county is that? North what?
So we have Lehigh and Northampton counties in Pennsylvania.
Two counties. Okay, Lehigh and Northampton.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not talking a single county, dude. We're talking two counties here.
State senators, yeah, they overlap on
Yes.
different counties. I know that.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what it's like. You can't have a square district. You have to make it long and reach out different places. So
Yeah, you got to make it serpentine,
yes,
like the Democrats like to do.
yep. This one
Okay.
actually, interestingly enough, before the 2020 census, it was more serpentine, reached further into Lehigh County, and then it was all of the city of Easton, most of the city of Bethlehem, and also brought in parts of the city of Allentown. So one of the reasons I have a better chance is it isn't as blue as it used to be. Better chance that people ran against
Okay,
her.
that's good.
2024 kind of proved that, right?
Yes.
It's good for the common sense, patriotic side.
Yes.
So the other thing is that you're presently involved in a conservative organization that's associated with Wilson. Can you tell us
Yes.
something about that?
So Wilson area conservatives, when 4 years ago I became a committeeman, which is one of the people at the precinct. One of the things that Republican organizers have been trying for years to get more conservatives involved in. I became just a committeeman, one of the two in my precinct, and then committee chair. And it was known as Area 8. Well, what's Area 8? Nobody knows what it is, but the Wilson Area School District is the exact boundaries as Area 8. So I rebranded it Wilson Area Conservatives. And for the last 4 years, every election, we've had sample ballots for each of the 9 precincts in the area. So people can go and say, oh, who do I vote for? They can look at their exact ballot and all the way down the line who are suggesting that they vote for. We do this for primaries and general elections.
So you also have a doctorate in education.
Yes.
And,
So
let's
go ahead.
hear that history.
So it's interesting. So one of the things that motivates me to be interested in education, interested in politics, is when I was in 3rd grade, I could not read. It's not like I was behind level. I could not read at all. I was one of those kids who figured out how to make people think they could read, but I couldn't at all. And I was in a suburban school district. My mom was confronted by the administration. They said, the thing to do with this boy is to hold him back. Well, I had a high IQ score. I had A's in math, and I couldn't read. And so my mom said, I disagree with the experts. And my mom and dad took me every day all summer long to a special school outside of my district across the river in a nearby town. And that's when I learned to read. And so for me, they're experts, but the people who care the most and the real experts about every child is the parents. And so along the way, I got a doctorate in education because I now can read. But so I was interested in college administration. I did fundraising for a number of colleges and ended up actually one of my first fundraising jobs was for a theological seminary. But I have a degree so I have a bachelor's degree from Asbury College, which is in Kentucky. I have my Master of Divinity from Princeton Theological Seminary, which is in New Jersey, and then Temple University in Philadelphia is where I earned my doctorate.
Are you also a pastor?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh, and you're a pastor too. That's right. You became pastor after Princeton then.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay.
And when I felt, and I'm not sure, probably a lot of people familiar with the term, feeling the call to ministry. When I felt my call to ministry, I never felt that it was a call to spend my life in the pulpit, in the pastorate. I always thought it'd be something administrative. And my dissertation is entitled The College President and Fundraising Effectiveness. So it was the traits and attributes of the presidents, and I only use the Christian College Coalition, the presidents of the Christian College Coalition at that time, the difference between the ones who raised the most money and the ones who didn't, and looked at those traits.
So
What made you decide to run for office now? Or have you run for office before?
Never. 4 years
Yes.
ago, to become a committeeman, it took 10 votes. So I had 11, I think. So that was when I started. I'm one of those guys who gets upset at conservatives who spout off on Facebook and X and never do anything. And I said to the county chairman of the Republican Party, because as soon as I was elected, I was the person that at least half the meetings asked me to open the meeting with prayer. They gave me various jobs. When I was told something to do, I was one of the guys that said, well, let's go ahead and do it and do my best. In 24, my area went all Republican for all 6 of the state and national races. And we're a very purple area. I have 3 boroughs and 1 township. So it is kind of a blue area. So I started talking to the chairman of the county about a lower position, said, you know what, I'll at least put my name in there. We need to have somebody to run. And he said, you know, Lisa Biscola, who's the person who currently has that position, since 1998, she's been there. But most of the time, there's no Republican running against her. And he said, we think that you would not only be a candidate running against her, we think there's a pathway to victory. I spent time talking with him, met him several times, asked the question, surely you have somebody better with more experience? He kept on saying, no, you're the guy that can do this. And is the path really a legitimate path? And still, I'm certain it's a hard path. It's an unlikely path unless the Republicans in the trenches actually go out and vote like they did in 24 and did not in 25. But there is a path to victory.
Well, I think the conservative part of our country and our state are starting to realize that the game is not over.
No.
And the assault on ICE agents pretty much proves that. And so I think you have a good opportunity to basically activate people that are just looking for direction.
Mm-hmm. And people who are watching your podcast are those kinds of people that we need to make sure they're not just hearing, but doing and getting active. Yeah.
Yes, we've actually had some fortune lately that our podcast has been, seems to be viewed more than it was a
Blowing
year.
up the last week or so.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So we might be able to help you out with that. But the thing is that we're also on 4 different platforms. So we're not just relying on YouTube. We're actually, Roy's the one who manages all
I
that.
published it to different platforms. However, it gets published to Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. And now I've been putting it on the new one, Pickaxe, New Freedom
Right.
of
Told me about
Speech
that.
thing. It goes automatically from Spotify to Apple, which is audio only, Apple Podcasts. And then I put it on Wimkin, another free speech platform, Threads, Facebook, fascist book, I call it. But I put it there. And a couple of others. But I do it, I think it's about 10 or 11.
Mhm.
I'm not even
And I'll
sure.
tell you, it
Truth
used to be
Social
that
also.
it used to be that if it's only fascist book, I'll use your
Yeah.
name, that you would be, the censorship was terrible, and also even the shadow ban. If they let you put your thing on, they didn't let anybody see it.
I think I may be shadow banned once in a while there, and
Okay.
even on X, I don't get the I don't seem to get the views that I think I should be getting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I think it's
Yeah.
leftover leftist fascists who are
Right.
there sabotaging wherever they can. We're a small podcast. We're I mean, they did it to bigger podcasts. Why wouldn't they do it to a small
Right.
guy?
Yep.
Well,
And also, so I have on Facebook and Instagram, I came up in the last 3 weeks with 7 videos about me and 10 videos about the issues. and they're also at my website, scottjanney.com. Pushing Facebook views is important to a lot of people, but to me, it's more important to get people to look for the news and look for, do their own research. And so in my website, all those things from Facebook and Instagram can be seen. So even if they don't get viewers to get those numbers there, the people in my area can look and say, is this guy genuine? Does he really believe the issues I believe in, or is he not? And people should have that ability to make that kind of decision. And Facebook,
I'll definitely put your address in the show notes, and Michael will put it on our website.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Michael.
Quasi-conservative position, okay? I would have to say that you have the DNA that the average conservative individual citizen is going to be drawn to. But we'd also like to speak to those people, let's say, in the middle ground. So
yes.
I would like you to go ahead and speak to them right now and tell them 3 things that you want to do for, for all the citizens in this area that would actually just touch them, because I'm already going to vote for you. Okay.
Thank
because
you.
I like your, first of all, there's certain characteristics that you possess that I now am drawn to. And, but there's a lot of people that are not drawn to what might be considered standard, traditional, conservative people. Okay. So I'd like you to, what are those things that, that you can say, reaching out to the general public?
It's interesting. Tell people why they should vote for you.
Yes. It's interesting when you talk about, people in the middle. When you look at things like, do you want a good economy? I don't know why the Democrat Party says we want a terrible economy. We want a terrible economy because a good economy will be good for Trump. So I want to help the economy be better. I want lower taxes. I want the government to get regulations out of the way. That's suddenly become a conservative issue. And to me, it doesn't sound like a conservative issue. It sounds like anybody ought to want to have the economy get better. Another big issue, which is suddenly a conservative issue, which doesn't sound conservative to me, is election integrity. I want every person's vote to be counted, whether they vote for me or somebody else, but I want people's votes, American citizens' votes, to be counted. Every legal vote should be counted. But, it's like voter ID. The Democrat Party is lined up against voter ID. Every elected official will come find some way to call it racist. They say that Black people can't own an ID. I mean, that's the most racist thing there is in the world. We have voter ID. We vote with voter ID. And I'm from Northampton County. That's one of the 2 counties I'm running in.
Me too.
2023, okay, what percentage of the machines switched votes in Northampton County in 2023? Mike, do you know what percentage of the votes what percentage of the machines we know switched votes? And I'll give you one hint. It's more than 99. 100% of the machines, every machine in Northampton County switched votes. You can find it. It's very easy to see. Representative Ann Flood, a little bit to the north of me, in the State House, had a whole report on it. The county administrator resigned, and that's where it ended. They used the same machines. It's easy to switch votes on these machines. There's no trail when you switch the votes. Paper ballots, there's at least a trail. But so election integrity is the second thing. So the economy's got to be good. Election integrity has got to be good. And another thing is, you can see Bill Clinton, you can hear Barack Obama, you can hear Joe Biden say, we can't have open borders. We need to have, a control over who comes into our country back years ago. But now Donald Trump is for, taking the criminal illegal aliens, but all illegal aliens out of this country. It's an 80-20 and 90-10. By that, I mean 80% of the people, which includes the middle, or 90% of the people agree with this. They might have, objections about seeing ICE in their neighborhood or something like that, but they agree with the idea that America needs to have borders and needs to have an immigration policy. But those are, even though they're all three, kind of conservative issues, a good economy, knowing that your vote counts and only the votes that count should count, and having our borders and protecting American citizens, I think they're moderate issues as well.
The problem is the media makes it look like most people are against it, which is not true, because a lot of these demonstrators or protesters, whatever you want to call them, are paid to be there.
And you see the same protesters in cities all around the country.
Oh yeah,
the same.
They come off the buses, and at a certain time, oh, my time's up. I punched the clock, so I got to leave now.
Well, I'm sure Mike knows in Northampton County, they have this thing called Mondays with Mackenzie, where the protesters show up at noon and at 1 p.m. they all walk off the job. And they stand in front of one of Ryan Mackenzie's offices and shout at the traffic going by. But at 1 o'clock, they're off the clock and they go home. It's supposed to be organic.
Somebody should go there for a week or so and film that. Start filming at, say, 10:30. Leave a camera just filming from 10:30 till about 1:30, and to show that this is a daily thing and it's organized and they are probably paid. Right. And it's the same people.
Right. It's every Monday. Yeah. Yeah.
The right says, don't these people have jobs? They do. They're being paid to protest.
That's their job.
I'm going to tell you about Mackenzie. I used to be a member of the Tea Party until I had difficulties with the organization. And one of the great things about the Tea Party is that we used to get excellent speakers. And Mackenzie shows up, and of course he's running for office, and he wins. A month later, he shows up again just to thank us. That is a class act. The man, I can understand, is showing up for votes, but he showed up to say thank you, and that's the kind of man he is.
I want to tell you where I stood with Ryan Mackenzie this December. I work for the Salvation Army, and I need to say the views of the candidate may or may not be the views of the Salvation Army. But I stood at the Hobby Lobby in Allentown to ring the bell and ask people to donate to Salvation Army. And Ryan Mackenzie showed up for about an hour and a half of that time, ringing the bell, asking for those donations. So he does a lot of other things that are community-based that show that he's a genuine member of our community.
See, a lot of people don't mention the fact that when you meet some of these people in person, there is a kinetic energy. You can feel them.
Yep.
Ryan Mackenzie is one of those people that when you're with him, he feels authentic.
Yes.
Now, I understand there's people out in the world that can fake that. But
right.
I like to think that I'm also aware of that fact. So I do go through that leery period, but Ryan Mackenzie, I think, is likable. And he's a first-class guy. And I'm telling you, him showing up to thank us, that knocked me off my feet. So, Mr. Janney, you've got to go ahead and you've got to do the same thing. You got to thank us when you become senator, not snub us in the street, but come back into our podcast and say, "Hey,
bring Ryan Mackenzie with you."
Oh my God, so good.
I promise that if I'm elected, I will be back. And you might want to say, "Hey, if he didn't get elected, let's ask him back anyway." But hopefully,
what happened? What went wrong? Yeah,
right. If the people who believe in the same issues I believe in come out and vote, and I know there are people who vote straight Republican, people vote straight Democrat, and a lot of people between those two that vote based on the issues. But if you want to have a lousy economy, if you want to have young people, I have a 21-year-old son. He's always, say, "Oh, there are enough jobs open." Well, if you want to have people here illegally out of the job market so that young people can get jobs, if you want the economy to be good, if you want prices to go down, I mean, one of the things is people don't see the change in the economy yet. I notice inflation going from 9%, where it was under Biden at this time, to 2.7% is great. But people don't see the prices coming down because 2.7% is, instead of skyrocketing, they're going up just a little. That's what's happening. What needs to happen now is that inflation needs to stay around 2 to 3%, and wage growth needs to be 5 to 6%. If that happens, it doesn't matter if there's a little bit. Under Biden, it's 9% inflation and 2% wage growth.
Well, what I was telling Roy before we started was that I just checked my IRA and it's gone up 14% since last year, which is amazing.
Nice. Okay.
Now I want something from you personal. Okay. I live in a floodstone in Easton. Okay. I have seen water in my basement, which is actually not really a sunken basement. It's raised.
Right.
So I've had water walk up into my place. And then I think it was last year, they removed 2 of the dams because the dams were denying backflow. And by denying backflow, my area was getting flooded fast because the water didn't have anywhere to go when the Lehigh and the Delaware both flooded.
Right.
So what are you going to do for me to help the people in the floodplain? Because Easton has a history of flooding. And, it's a very, every time when it's going to rain, I check to see how many inches, blah, blah, blah. I got a rain gauge. It's like a hobby of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mike, so not being my area of expertise, but this is something that's always bugged me. Whenever there's a new development in, they have these retention ponds. And I don't understand what a retention pond is for, because as soon as it's built, they open up the retention pond, so it's just a pass through. In my community, our house is about 30 years old. It's called The Development in Williams Township because it was the first one. It has 26 houses on it. But we have 2 of these big retention ponds that neither one holds an ounce of water. Water just runs straight through them. And they have to be all through. We have these retention ponds that if they could be, I really believe, and I'm not an engineer, not expert in this, but why don't we even look at, is there some way to slow the water in all those neighborhoods? And I understand if it stays forever, it becomes, mosquito infested, and that's bad. But is there a way to, during rainstorms, slow the water for 2 or 3 days and let it flow through a pipe, not just right out? They just break them so they don't do what they're doing. I think they're to stop silt and mud from the construction. But there's so many things we do that aren't because of more rain. They're because, we really don't use the things we put in there to stop the rainwater. So that's not a big thing, but why can't we explore that?
The thing is that running water makes it difficult for insects to spawn.
True.
Yeah. So if there's some way to create an agitation, that may also help.
Right.
I don't know.
But you see them, on Freemansburg Highway. You see them, like I see them big fenced in water retention ponds. Kids can't play on them, so they're not like a field, and nobody can get in there, and they're behind a chain link fence, and they don't hold water. Like, what's the purpose?
I don't know.
Somebody got paid off to build it, for one thing. And maybe they're getting paid to rent the property. I don't know.
They may have had
we've got jaundiced eyes. At our age, Mike and I have jaundiced eye towards a lot of things.
I know that I'm blocked.
But the thing is that interesting subject. Hey, throw that on your wish list. Why are retention ponds? Why are they? But
why aren't they retaining anything?
There are also how do you feel about the crime in the Lehigh Valley area? Oh, somebody's frozen.
Are you frozen, Jay? Oh, yeah, he froze. Let me see if I can contact him through the text.
You know what it is? My last statement stunned him. That's what it is. He's in the state of shock.
I can't. If you can hear us, try logging out and coming back in. I
I
hope you can
think
hear
I
us.
might have
Towards the
had
light.
internet
Do
issue.
not go towards the light. Maybe we have to reboot. Oh,
No, he went out. Okay, he went out. He's going to
Hello,
come
I
back
think
in.
I think I might have had
That's
an internet
enough.
issue. I hope you're
We're
able to
good.
Maybe he
cut
read
that
my
out.
lips. Yeah.
Yep.
Read my lips. Go out and come back in.
So
Maybe he figured it out himself. You know why? Because he's a Republican, and he can. Oh, I should have texted him. What an idiot!
I thought you did.
What's John Edward? What the heck? I'm getting a text from a John Edward. Who is this?
Are we still recording?
Yes, we are. Let me. Okay. Are you rebooting? Okay, I forgot I could have contacted him through text. I asked him, "Are you rebooting?" Let's see. We're still in the studio, comma, so come back in when you can. Anyway, so I've been taking some notes to put on the show notes.
Right. So, well, it's I think it's kind of cool that I'm able to go ahead and talk to somebody who I think is going to become, state senator. It's kind of interesting.
Maybe you'll become his director of communications.
Oh no, I can't be.
No, I wouldn't want you there either. I wouldn't want either of us there.
But people ask me throughout my life, why don't I go into politics? And my answer is quite simple. I wouldn't know what to do. First of all, I dislike politics in
Do you
general.
think these people know what they're doing, most of them, when they go in? And I'll tell you something. The fact that he was never a politician before, to me, is a plus. That was why I voted for Trump, why I supported Trump the first time out. Okay? And the second time is because I knew what he could do, what he's capable of.
Did he respond? If not, I think we should end the podcast.
No.
We've done what we need to do.
True.
He doesn't have to come back. Up. Wait a second here.
He's coming back in.
You're able to cut that out, or at least you had something interesting to talk about. I just switched to a different internet network, and it made me upload the software again. So,
okay.
Hopefully, work continues to work. Sorry about that.
Mike was giving up on you. He wanted to end the podcast because he thought you might not be able to come back in.
Right, but interesting thing. Yesterday was Verizon phones were down in numerous states, and
Yes.
I have a Verizon phone, which is kind of funny. But at the same time, I have a Verizon hotspot for my internet, and that was up.
Mm-hmm.
But the phones were down.
Oh,
Must be two different.
I actually heard. I was listening to WFMZ. 990 AM, whatever the letters are. Today, and they were one of the news shows they go off to said that it was sometimes the internet, sometimes the hotspot, sometimes it was a lot of different things, and they said it was some kind of a software glitch at Verizon.
I had an internet phone, and I was able to contact Roy, even though my cell phone was unavailable.
Yeah, his internet was okay. It was just the cellular connections that weren't working. And I saw a headline on some podcast that said, "Are we at war with Iran?"
That's the first thing.
Cyber attack may have been launched.
That's right.
We don't know.
I thought.
Yeah.
Because I happened to be in the mall, and I went to the Verizon store, and I said, "I'm having problems with my phone." He goes, "Everybody is. Verizon's down." I said, "What?
Go away. Go away. You draw flies.
Well, the thing is, nowadays in the present, assaulting the internet and all kinds of cell service is the first strike.
Yes.
Cut out
depend on them for so much.
Yeah. We are dependent on them. That's another thing, Scott, that you should be able to do. Create a non-dependent system, so this way when the internet goes down, the entire county can like still do business. There you go.
Well, it's
Well,
funny. I don't have an antenna on my TV. It's like it goes through the internet. So yeah, we should probably think about some redundancies.
yeah,
I do
but
have an antenna
don't
on
make
my
the
TV.
mistake of letting government do it. Get somebody qualified in the private sector to do it, because government will always screw it up or be way more expensive than the private sector. Even if the
Yeah.
guy in the private sector is going to up the bill because, hey, the government's paying me, I can charge them extra.
I have an
It's amazing how so many things that when the government gets involved to make it cheaper for us, it becomes much more expensive.
Always,
Healthcare
almost
and
always.
higher education. Even education is expensive because in Pennsylvania, I think we spend an average of $25,000 per student per year, and it's not because of the teachers get. I mean, that means that a teacher with 20 students in her classroom should be making what's that 500,000 or is it five? I mean, it's like no, it's because of all the other regulations, other administration up and down the line. But higher education subsidized and the price goes up.
the more hands that you need to pass the fish down the line, the more
Yeah.
expensive it's going to be.
Yeah, well,
Right.
the education, ever since they started guaranteeing student loans, tuition has just risen and risen and risen. And these universities and colleges, what they do with the money is instead of, they may hire some teachers, but they'll hire an equal amount, if not greater, of
Mhm.
staff
They,
or
they,
buy
Yeah.
buildings or go, throw big parties for the staff or whatever.
they need
Yeah,
a tremendous amount. They need a tremendous amount of money in order to be able to transition children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know
That's
what I'm amazed at, on the other hand, though? Community colleges are like, government colleges all the way. And somehow community colleges across the country end up giving a good education for
Yeah.
a ridiculously low price compared to the rest of higher education. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah. If you're going into business, or if you're a business major, or if you're going to be a lawyer or so, you need contacts. So you want to go to these Ivy League colleges because you'll have
Right.
contacts that'll help you in the future. However, like my grandson, he wants to be an engineer.
Mhm.
Math is math, physics is physics, chemistry is chemistry, no matter where you go. So you don't need connections. You don't need to be affiliated with the next Einstein. He doesn't exist anyway. And so you can go to a community college, learn the same thing you're going to learn over here. You might pay $10,000 a year here rather than $80,000 a year at Princeton. Okay.
Right. Right.
So, and you're not in that.
If you
Right.
go to community college and then your last college that you go to is Ivy League for your master's, that's the one that counts.
Well,
Right.
my
Yeah.
grandson, I asked him what, because he's been accepted to quite a few colleges already, including Rensselaer Institute up in New York. And I asked him, which one do you prefer? He goes, whichever one gives me the most money on my scholarships.
It is interesting because you can go to one that charges $80,000 a year and get an $80,000 a year scholarship, and go to one that charges $15,000 a year and get nothing. So it is cheaper to go to the more expensive
Yeah.
one
Oh,
sometimes.
It's not
No, he
essential.
has.
You know,
What was that?
we need more schools to teach people vocations, because what is the
Well,
purpose of going to work? Is it to have a degree, or is it to have?
It's to
Uh,
pay the banks you're on your loan for several years.
I mean, if
You
you're
have
a
that
plumber,
monkey on your back.
you're making money hand over fist. You're feeding your family, and you're a lot of times these guys are independent. I mean, the thing is that we need to focus as much on these career-based schools, because they're more affordable. They're certainly more practical, and we need
Trade schools, yeah.
people. Yeah,
Mike Rowe,
Yeah.
he's pushing that. They gave out last year, I think, or they have this year, $2 million in scholarships they're going to give out for people who want to go to trade schools. Now, I told my grandson's stepbrother, he's very mechanical and so forth, and He likes working with his hands. He doesn't want to go to college. So he is going to become an apprentice as soon as he graduates high school. He's going to become an apprentice electrician. In 2 years, I guarantee you he'll be making well over six figures.
Well, if you
Okay.
become a chef, you can travel the
Lawyers are
world.
a dime a dozen.
Well, they're
Mhm.
actually a lot more expensive than that.
Yeah, I pay
Lawyers
mine
are a
$600
dime
an
a dozen.
hour, so I know where he got his.
What's that?
I said I pay
What was
mine
that, Scott?
$600 an hour, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, six figures could go anywhere up to 900,000. So,
Right? Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
But anyway, it's kind of a sense in America that the only jobs that status is based totally on education, and I really think that and jobs that don't require a bachelor's degree to do the job require them to get the job. So I think we need to look at what people can do, and let them get the education where they get the education. And apprenticeships are, they're great, and there are those trade schools. My son just graduated from, I still call it NACAC, I guess but Northampton Community College, of the computer science degree, and his graduation is still a week from now, so he hasn't got a job yet. But I thought that was the best job for him. That's the best route for him. That's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to go to 4 years of college just to sit there for 4 years. He wants to get into the workforce.
right. Well, this kid, his father is an electrician, and he's a foreman. So he's going to take he's going to be his
Yeah.
mentor, I guess.
Mentor.
Okay, he's
Yeah.
going to oversee his apprenticeship. So he'll be learning from somebody who knows, and who has an interest in making him good at what he's going to be doing. So I think he'll do well. I think he'll do better than if he went to college and took up I don't know, basket weaving or something, which
Yeah.
it would end up with him asking, "Do you want fries with that?"
When you become
Yeah.
a state senator, you're going to have to deal with Governor Shapiro.
Let's hope not. Let's hope I'm dealing with Governor Garrity.
I don't know, man. These Shapiro's got a lot of support, and the firebombing has given him some sort of sympathy.
Yeah. And the millions he spends on his own home afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Shapiro. I always felt he was Wolf's lackey, and I despised Wolf.
What I despised was the children who lost years of education, the kindergartners who wore masks. They're learning to speak. They're learning to recognize how other people are speaking, and they have a mask over their face, and they can't learn to do it. And there's some learning that's going to take kids years to learn, and some might never catch up. And the people who spent their didn't do a senior prom, that was extended to such a long time because Wolf wanted it, and Shapiro was his enforcer. And then Shapiro said, "I'm going to sign this Opportunity Act in his campaign. I'm going to sign this Opportunity Act so that people can have money to have choice in education." And it finally came on his desk by Republicans and Democrats. Democrats agreed with it. It was enough of a middle road bill, and he line item vetoed it. So yeah, that's something I'm upset about.
So yeah, the thing is that now what about are you going to have any communication with Fetterman?
Oh, Fetterman's amazing, isn't he? It's like here's this guy that during the campaign didn't speak because he couldn't, and he kind of wakes up and starts looking at the world anew, and he says, some of the things about, do we really want illegal aliens and the criminals protected by people? And he says that doesn't make any sense. He doesn't look at it as, my party tells me I need to say this about that. He looks at it and says, what do you think? And he thinks about it. I'm amazed with him. It's like, I usually don't promote Democrats, but he's like the only one that seems to be looking around.
Yeah, well, it looks like, we've said it before on the show, it looks like the stroke actually jolted some common sense into his brain.
He does have that kind of common sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
the funny thing is that his style of communication is so core, so
Yep.
key, that it's almost unarguable. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like you said, common sense, but it's just
Down
know,
to
it's-
earth.
his ability to express that in simple terms that anybody can understand.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
down
and-
to earth. That's the whole thing. That's like, I mean, as opposed to uh, people like Chuck Schumer who will use flowery language and so forth to
My
make no
God.
points at all.
It might have been. I mean, I believe that suffering actually makes you better. That when you suffer, you often get stronger. And it might have been some of the things in. And I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I am a doctor, but not that kind. But it might have been some of the things in stroke rehab about learning to do simple things and putting simple things together that might have got him more toward, the basic. Let's look at what's really going on. But he
Mhm.
does seem to get that.
Yeah, it's two different people.
They
Mhm.
say once he divorced his wife, who was a wild leftist,
Okay,
that he got better.
that might be.
Men
Well-
are very influenced by their women.
Sure.
Well, we have two miracles. One is Trump at Butler and John Fetterman.
Yeah.
Two miracles.
That Trump Butler, that was amazing. I mean, and there are still people who say, "Oh, he must have been hit by some glass shatter when the bullet went somewhere else." It's
Yeah.
like they don't want to say when he escaped that whatever. They don't want to give him any credit for that. No, he wasn't really shot. He was absolutely shot.
Meanwhile, they showed pictures of the teleprompters afterwards. They were both intact.
Mhm.
They just don't want to attribute anything good to him, and they refuse to see that it was basically divine intervention.
Somebody died
Yeah.
behind Trump.
Yeah.
Guy. So
Corey Contempor. Yeah.
those were real bullets. It's like,
Yeah,
the thing
Yeah,
is that I shoot often enough to where I can say that was an easy shot. It really was.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah.
took if you had the willpower, if you had the equipment, that was an easy shot. And
if it was from that roof.
and the other thing
Yeah.
is that if you're going to take somebody out, even from 100 yards, you want to make sure it's a body shot. It's that's what you go for. So that is just like, yeah, he was going for a headshot and instant kill.
Yeah, and CNN was there because they knew about it, and they wanted the country to see his head get blown apart.
He turned
They've
his
never
head,
covered any of his rallies before.
like, from this to that. That's all it was.
Yeah.
If they ever show up to one of his rallies again, and I were in charge of the Secret Service, I say, no, this isn't happening.
And we're
Right.
talking
Well, I mean,
We're
it
talking about
was a shame that I mean, I know a lot of people looked into it, but the fact that a person, I think it was 130 yards, and it was a roof, and
Yeah,
they had
140.
nobody there, and it's like if you've ever been to field hunting and you think, boy, if I want to shoot a deer at that spot, where do I want to be? How about let's find a nice medium kind of distance and an unobstructed view where nobody's going to stand in front of me. And it's like somebody looking around there should say, that's the spot where it's vulnerable. We need to take that vulnerability out.
the problem. There
Water
were
tower.
citizens that did point it out. They were all going, yeah, there's somebody on the roof. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, security was laxed, and then you had a cop that climbed up, and then he
Right.
swung around, pointed the villain,
Rifle.
turned the gun around on him, and he had to drop that back down. I don't know how much more information you need, and also the communication amongst all of the people that were involved in security. They were using their cell phones. They had no common communication. There was no walkie-talkie. It was designed to fail. And
If I were that cop who saw him on the roof and then he swung the rifle at me, once I got down to say, I would have taken a shot into the air because
Right. Yeah.
or
Make
into
noise.
the ground,
Yeah.
just to warn everybody, hey, something's happening here.
how about if you just go, here's the roof, I just go bang, 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 bang over there, because you knew.
Because then it would head in the direction of the president
Yeah,
and the people over there.
But the thing is,
yeah,
if he started shooting like that, he
yeah,
probably
yeah.
would have hit him, and he would have certainly alerted the others. But the thing is that so those are two miracles: John Fetterman and Trump.
Butler, Pennsylvania.
Here's the third miracle: every single swing state in the United States voted for Trump in 2024. Every single swing state. Amazing.
Every county.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
poor-
And
poor-
it's funny because I have so many people react to me because I like to mention, Trump is your president because of a landslide. And people say it isn't a landslide. It's like, okay, you need 270 electoral votes. He got 310, 320. He needed, 4 of the 7 swing states. He got all 7 of them. It's like it was an overwhelming sign of support. And then when you look at, now we're talking about the blue states that have extra representation because of illegal aliens in there, and that limiting that so that one person, one citizen gets 1 vote would be so much better, because they don't even have to, vote. It's based on population, and I don't believe the population should include the population of illegal aliens in that state.
No,
I don't see why they have more representation because of not Americans. I think
that's because Democrats can't win elections without them. Otherwise, they're out. They're out of power.
Yeah.
the South had slaves. They didn't let every single slave be a voter.
Right. That was 3/5. Yeah.
So the thing is that yes, the idea of non-citizens voting in a national election is ludicrous to the point where you shouldn't even have to argue that. That question shouldn't even be arise. That doesn't deserve recognition as a question. So the thing is, like, we're constantly being barraged by these ludicrous statements, such as your sexual apparatus does not determine your sexual presentation. What? Then how did you come into being?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, but
they selected your sex. They selected they just deduced it because of what you were born with or without a penis. That's it.
Well,
Also-
that's another one of the things Mike talked about, people in the middle. It's like, that's another issue. The Democratic establishment says they appointed a Supreme Court justice who says she doesn't know what a woman is because she's not a biologist. But if you ask people, and you ask people in the middle, let's say between 30 and 70, you got the 30% are strong Republicans, the 30% are strong liberals. Then that 40% in the middle, they almost all believe that a man is a man, is a woman. There are 2 sexes. They don't believe that a guy who's, I'm just a little under 6 feet tall, I weigh 185 pounds. They don't believe a guy like me should be playing, women's volleyball, should be playing women's sports, that women have to compete with somebody like me who might say, oh, I'm a woman. That's a middle of the road issue, but somehow this year and last year, it's a left versus right, and left is 10, 15%, and right is, 85, 90%.
I have an answer for if you need a definition for what a woman is, and I think it's absolutely bulletproof. Okay, very simple. A woman is a 2-legged creature that walks the earth, and when in optimal condition, is a life support system for a fetus. That's it.
It's interesting because Democrats try to say sometimes, the leaders of the Democrat Party, not the regular Democrat people in the middle. So, well, if you say childbearing, then you've got 9-year-old women don't count, and 5-year-old girls don't count. It's like, we just know what a woman is. I mean, if you go out into the rest of the world, deer know male deer from female deer. fish know. We know what a woman is. It's a human being, a female, adult human being. But it's like, how is that an issue that one party is built on? No, we need to defend the right of huge men to fight in women's sports.
It's because they're doing the color revolution, which is to basically get people confused with common terminology, so this way they can be molded.
Well, it's the communist,
the other day,
power-driven way of destroying society, destroying the societal rules, destroy society, create chaos. Then the government comes in and straightens everything out.
Well, I wrote the other day on, I think it was on X, and I said that the problem today is the words that had meaning in the past no longer do. If you redefine a word and then don't bother to tell anybody that it's been redefined, then the words have no meaning, and the people that are listening, that are indoctrinated, are going to be confused because they're viewing it from their adjusted definition, and you're viewing it from the traditional accepted definition. So you can't have communication. So what you have is chaos in the process of communication and more discord.
Right. So when I was in college, I bought this. It's a Random House dictionary. It says on that side. It's like, and it's frayed. And I still use it because I want to know what words mean based on what. Now there are things that change, but it should be slow. You shouldn't be able to say, today this is what woman means. Today this is what man means. And a word like, well, let's marginalize men and women. And so let's call those men and women who are, like men and women, what the word always meant to be. Let's stop saying men. Let's say cis men and cis women. And it's like, it sounds like one kind of man, and it means what man meant before. So that the changing terms is a very important thing to people who want to, change society and change it in ways that people should know. Oh, yes, you have an unabridged dictionary. Yours is bigger than mine.
Oh, my parents had one of those when I was a kid.
Webster 20th Century Dictionary, copyright 1902. 1904. Wow. You know why I bought this? Because many years ago, I saw that language was being assaulted, and I wanted to have a bulletproof, spoken, because these guys are very rich in their language, of a definition. And so I've got this bad boy, and I almost killed myself just trying to get it just now.
Yeah, we had one when I was a kid. We had one of those big ones.
Right. Oh, I remember one of my greatest disappointments. I went to a public library, and they had this huge unabridged dictionary. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what unabridged means. And I opened up and found unabridged and said, not abridged. I said, that didn't help me.
Oh, so then you looked under abridged.
I looked up abridged. Yeah.
Not unabridged.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Circle logic.
You know what really angered me was when that particular justice answered that she couldn't. She was the biologist, couldn't answer what a woman is. Meanwhile, she is obviously a woman. Nobody had the guts to oppose her nomination. That should have disqualified her immediately. It proved she was nothing but a DEI pandering. What do you call it?
I'd like to take a second, Roy, to tell you a story about me and DEI. So this is So when I was at Princeton Theological Seminary, we had a convention of our denomination coming up that summer. It was a big one because there was a merger between three denominations, and we were electing seminary delegates to go to the convention. You didn't have a vote, but you could participate fully. And so we had 8 places on the ballot. And there wasn't much of a campaign. It was a quick thing. They'd only be members of the seminary or part of that denomination. And I ran in the race. And I got called to the dean's office the day after the votes were counted. He said, Scott, I have good news and bad news. The good news is there are 8 spots and you are the 5th highest vote getter.
Wow.
Problem is you're the 5th highest white male vote getter. So you don't go. And he said to me, we have this other thing. We call them pages. They're called seminary assistants. You go there, you work. It's like, I'm sorry, it's not the same thing, but it's something you can go there. And so I took it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make the best out of this. The rules were show up at 1:00 in clothes that you don't mind getting dirty. So I showed up at 9 a.m. in a pair of khakis, a button-down shirt, and a jacket. And at 1:15, when they had their meeting, the guy in charge said, okay, we need some special jobs. First of all, somebody has to be the moderator's assistant. Anybody interested in that? I raised my hand and said, okay, Scott's the moderator's assistant. It's like, so I was the guy that went with the moderator. I was the guy who brought guests in. So the one thing I remember, 2 things I remember. First of all, Martin Luther King, Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. spoke to the convention. All those delegates sat in their seats to hear him talk for 20 minutes. I hung out with Daddy King for 90 minutes in the green room. Another Page and me. And then they had this ceremonial, they had the 3 moderators all had these crosses, and they were riveted together in front of everybody. And I brought the jeweler in to do the riveting. And he looked at me right before he said it, right before he did it, he said, oh, do you mind kneeling down there and holding the crosses while I rivet them? So because of DEI, I got to, spend 90 minutes with Martin Luther King Sr. I got to hold the crosses as they're being riveted together. And that those are opportunities that didn't go to somebody who got to be on it because they weren't a white male. So, DEI, it really hurts everybody. And it just is a bad system.
Yeah, when I was in Amtrak, there was, because it was federally funded, they had to have a certain number of females. And the problem is that the job that we were doing required severe physical labor. I mean, right. I'll give you an example. Some of the grounding poles that we used were 15 feet tall. They had brass buckles this big at the end and this huge cable that had to be about yay thick. Okay. So you've got to clamp that down. So you got to pick this damn thing up. You got to spin it around, turn it around, put it on the wire and lock it down. Wow. Guess what? These women couldn't do it because it required to cover up a torso. So, but the thing is that they were never assigned to do that kind of work. Yet they held the same title I held. So, and that wasn't the only thing. And every once in a while, when you're driving by a site where they have a flagman, see what gender that is. See what sex the person is. A lot of the times, I would say, because I make note of it, I would say the majority of the times it's a female. Why? Because the flagman position is something that we used to use, and a lot of times we would give it to the person who might be sick, or who might be elderly, or you get the idea. But
who I see these days when it's a male? Usually it's someone who might be mistaken for an illegal immigrant.
Well, yeah, there's
that's what I see. I'm not making this up. I mean, it's either women or some little guy from South America or Mexico who was waving the flag, maybe because he can't speak English.
Right. Interesting.
Well, yeah. The thing is that I believe the border crossings have actually gone into the negative numbers now. That
Yeah, because more people are leaving, but the actual illegal border crossings across on the south have been zero for I think
right.
7 straight months.
But I
Yeah.
believe this is the first time in history that there's been a negative number.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know, but the thing is that these people have made some serious mistakes by abusing, and they're insurrectionists, they're rabble rousers, they're not protesters. A protester is someone who makes some sort of declaration as to their disagreement to a particular subject. Okay, but these people are rioters. They're activists.
right.
And they're anti-American.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, you know, uh, I heard a commentary the other day about Renee Wood being a victim. And the man ended it by saying, yes, she's a victim. She's a victim of the assistant governor of Minnesota who told her to get out there and put your body in the way to stop these ICE agents. She did what she was told. When you see those all dressed alike, very organized. Antifa is a international terrorist organization operating in America. It has very bad people doing very bad things and has other people that are just feeling, I need to help. I disagree with what I'm hearing. I want to stand out there. And they intermingle so much. And the people who are, just misguided are just standing there. And they actually are not purposely, I don't think all of them, maybe a few of them, but they're actually providing cover for the people who are doing things that are illegal, that are violent. And then the whole saying of mostly peaceful protesters, if you have 150 protesters and only 20 of them are being violent, 130 of them are peaceful. But those 20 people that are violent are using the whole group and are using them to hide, to get in, to get out. It doesn't matter if there are only 20 violent people. That's violent.
Right.
Yeah, it reminds me of the FBI infiltration into the crowd on January 6th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They fomented the violence.
it's amazing.
They
Amazing.
were the ones who were most
How many
vocal.
FBI assets did they say were there when they
250
that was
that
in
they admit
congressional testimony. We had 200 different assets there. Whatever that number is, it's somewhere around there.
Don't realize that
250.
when they say assets, they don't necessarily mean people showing up. They mean people that have infiltrated the group that went there and got into their confidence. Because the thing is, it's one thing to have a complete stranger bust the window and say, "Come on, let's go in." It's another thing that Bobby's going in.
Right. Yeah. Our buddy, we see him. Let's go with him. Yeah.
Right. So, there's a lot of terrible things. I mean, the Biden, I forget who I told this to, but I said that every morning you should wake up and say, "Thank God, President Biden is no longer president," because every day is a day without Biden.
Yeah.
Boy, he was demonic. I mean, he was just.
I think it's quite clear that he wasn't all mentally there for at least 3 years of his presidency. I mean, they ended up getting him not to run, and then the elites installed their candidate without giving the Democrat people. And Democrat people say, it's like, we want a chance to vote. Well, the Democrat elite leaders didn't give you a chance to vote. They said, this is who you have to vote for. It's like, but Biden for years, and then afterwards, some reporters came out and said, oh, I saw that. It's like, well, why didn't you say it? You're supposed to be a reporter. You're supposed to be serving the American people. I mean, and people ran the auto pen and signed important issues without him having any understanding of what was going on. He just didn't have that competence.
Issue. And when President Trump recently signed the papers to free the turkey that he was pardoned, he undid the auto pen of the previous turkey the year before.
He is such a funny guy. Yeah.
He is. The Democrats can't appreciate his humor.
No.
And he keeps tweaking their nose all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Did you see?
he's always he's full steam ahead, and he just floods the zone, and they have no idea how to handle
Well,
Did you see yesterday at the car plant what happened? Some guy was calling him a defender of claiming he was defending a pedophile, Epstein, and Trump finally had enough. You could see him mouthing a couple of
it.
times, and
Wow.
then he gave him he flipped him the bird,
here's
and
something
it
a
was
lot of
caught on camera.
people know about Trump. Trump actually carries a firearm on him. He
Interesting. Wow. Wow. Well, that's great. Yeah.
Yep. Second Amendment. God bless.
You know, the Democrats, by the way, speaking of the elections and the
Well,
selection,
one thing I try to do, Roy, is when you say the Democrats, you're talking about like 40% of the country. That's the way all those 40% vote, because if you vote Democrat, you vote for those crazy things. But the real problem is the 1%. They talk about 1%ers, but 1% who actually lead that party and say, these are the marching orders. And it's not brand new. Remember when our Democrat governor, they had the convention in Philadelphia, and our Democrat governor, a famous name, we had a senator by the same name until recently. The Democrat governor was not allowed to speak at the Democrat convention in the state of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia because he was not pro-abortion enough for the 1%, the leaders of the Democrat Party.
I
What
vaguely
year was that?
remember that.
That was sometime. I think maybe it was sometime in the 80s, because they elected a fairly pro-life president in Jimmy Carter. But it was like, we look that up on the internet. The other thing to look up on the internet is when people talk about Trump's foul language. I was hearing all that, and I just asked my phone, because you can ask it just AI, and said, phone, give me the 10 most vulgar public things that Lyndon Baines Johnson said. And I think people should do that. Just tell me the 10 most vulgar things, and if you have somebody in the room, read them back to me out loud. And maybe you have children, say that, and then you're going to shut your phone off pretty quickly, because it's like they say it's unprecedented. Trump said this. No, it's like, no, just listen to LBJ. Just look at the party. Saying, we have a governor of the state where we're holding our convention, but he is not pro-abortion through the 9th month, so we're not going to let him speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
That was nuts.
in that whole abortion issue, the question that rose by somebody brought up the question: when does that fetus become an American citizen and gain its rights? Which is an interesting question, because if you can come up with some sort of number, I'd like to know. But one of the things that I do think is that the medical world has absolutely dropped the ball on this one issue, because they won't tell us when the child is truly cognizant. Now, I think that you should not get an abortion unless you get to experience the fetus to some extent, only because of the fact that, like, if you're going to sell your car, you know what the car is. You don't know, you haven't experienced that child that's inside of you. And, I think Bill Burr said it the best way. He said, imagine you're baking a cake, and you get the batter and the butter and the milk, and you mix it up in this thing, and you throw it into the oven. And about 15 minutes later, somebody comes in and grabs that pan and throws it against the wall. And you go, what did you do to the cake? And the other person goes, that wasn't a cake. It wasn't a cake. It wasn't a cake. He says, but it was going to be. And that's the point. It was going to be a human being. And we have to start realizing that we're destroying potential, that we're killing potential, and that it's not simply a science experiment that's gone awry. And the thing is that we will also have to ask our American people to start becoming responsible and stop being victims. Because a victim is a byproduct of an outside agent and a responsible individual is an independent element, and being a preacher, you should appreciate that.
Well, I'll tell you, I hate the idea of, if you're the winner, you're the most important person if you have the label that's the worst. So if I'm the biggest victim, then I'm the one that gets all the attention. And it's like, so there's a rush to be the victim. And to me, the great thing is, the old stories and what life's about, everybody had hardship. Everybody was a victim in some way. That wasn't what the story's about. Oh, he's a victim this way. It was that he or she overcame the problem.
Exactly.
And that should be the distinguishing difference.
The other thing is that if you have been made a victim of some dastardly wrongdoing,
Mhm.
your associates, your friends, your loved ones come by and they have sympathy for you. That is an opportunity for you to experience their love, which is a healing element.
Right. Yep.
So the thing is that is the one time when being a victim is simply an opportunity for healing,
Right.
not for showing yourself to have been so virtuous that you were willing to take the slings and arrows from the wrongdoer, who basically didn't use your pronoun properly.
Right. Yeah. Microaggression.
He didn't call you Schmoigel. You should have known that. Everybody knows I'm a Schmoigel.
You mentioned the 1% earlier of the Democrat Party that controls it. The Democrat voters have not selected their presidential candidate since the time Obama took Hillary's place. Okay, Hillary was supposed to be there. Then they took it away from her.
Right.
Then later on, they took it away from Bernie Sanders. And, and this last one, they took Biden out and they didn't even do another election or anything. No. We're just putting her in because she's the puppet we need. We can do anything we want with her as the front man.
Grateful for that, because you couldn't have had
pronouns wrong, Roy. It's front woman.
Well,
you're a pastor, so I won't come up with the usual jokes.
First of all, we don't know what a woman is, remember?
I know what a woman is.
Well, the funny thing is...
And I ain't one.
The Chief Justice actually gave birth to a child. She's married and so forth. So, I mean, I don't know. To me...
That's the problem. These people propagate.
Now, one of the things on that side of that issue, Roy.
Well, one of the things I want people to stop doing is telling the story of these males who are in female sports and calling them men. They're not men. A man is a higher state of being. Happens to be a male of mature age and also a person who takes on the responsibility of being a male. Because males have a traditional... Oops, we lost him again. We should make it go away.
He didn't like what you were saying. He left. He ran off. Let's hope he comes back in a moment.
Well, are you going to contact him?
Yeah, let me ask him what happened.
He said he's got a new internet thing, so that might be the problem.
Able to reconnect.
Is he uploaded?
I don't know.
I think I heard a blip.
99% uploading, it says.
Okay. On his part? Yeah, for me too.
No, total, it says. Total.
Okay.
Well, maybe that's mine. Oh, no, that's mine. That's mine. I'm 99%. And here he is again.
Yeah. You can tell he's...
Ta-da! The pastor has come back to life twice.
You just proved that you deserve to be state senator. You know why? Two reasons. Number one, you figured out how to come back twice. And number two, your visual space is twice as big as Roy's and mine.
Not on my screen. Anyway. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to... First of all, I'd like to say to the audience, if you live in Pennsylvania, if you live in Lehigh and Northampton counties, please come out and vote for Scott Janney for state senator. It's the best thing for your area that you can do.
Johnny,
Thank you so much. When you said you if you want me to say anything else, I just want to say thank you guys for your time. Thank you for putting this podcast together, not just for me, but for the day in, day out, all the time you put into building the audience and building the message. And one other thing, if you don't live in Pennsylvania, scottjanney.com has one of those support buttons. So you can, and it's funny because as the reports come out, they pay attention to how many small donations you have. It's not just the big PACs that give you money or the organization. So I'd ask those of you who don't live in Pennsylvania District 18 to $5, $10 be really appreciated. And you can do it right online or you can send a check. Anyway, and especially if you're in our area, help me. We have signs in the volunteer page, which is not totally up yet on the webpage. They're going to be how you'd want to help. If you live in the area, tell us that you want to sign. We'll bring one to you. If you can help circulate petitions, there are a lot of ways to get involved. People get involved in little ways and big ways. Everybody has to vote. Everybody really needs to make sure you vote, but there are other ways to get involved even more. And this is not an off-year election. Okay, Donald Trump.
It's an important election.
If the Democrats take over the House, it's going to be impeachment day after day after day. It's going to be defund the police because that's what they're saying right now. I know if you're a Democrat, you don't want to defund the police, but that 1% in charge of your party finds a different way to say it. But they want to say, I heard somebody say today, can you believe that ICE agents carry guns? It's like, what? Why would an ICE agent have to carry a gun? It's like they don't want police. So it's not the Democrats themselves. It's the people who vote to give those really elite group the power to try to run our country.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Well,
anyway,
yep.
Good luck in the race. And when are you being?
It's November. There's
November,
a primary
not
in May.
primary.
Yeah, there's a primary in May.
Sorry.
But I know the people who are involved in county politics and township politics. I've been told by the other area chairs there are 14 areas in my county, and I overlap into at least the city of Bethlehem in Lehigh County. So they've all told me there's nobody that's going to be running against you. And I just think there might be some outsider, but who comes out of nowhere. But the expectation is nobody's going to run to try to unseat the person who's been there since 1998 and hasn't done anything.
I did see some crazy Karen, crazy blue Karen, say the other day, advising other Karens to register as a Republican. This way you pick who they're going to run.
Right.
This is all, I mean, dirty tricks is the best thing the Democratic Party does. Democrat Party, they're not Democratic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're going to cut this off here now. We're going to let you get back to your life. Thank you very much for coming on, and good luck. I hope to be able to address you come November or December as senator.
Thank you very much. I hope to too, and I will come back.
Right. I was going to say, if you want to come back before that, let Mike know.
Love to. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Perfect.
Okay, you can let us know what's going on with the campaign and so forth.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Including what the dastardly Democrats are doing.
Right. It's funny. I know we're trying to end, but I went door to door in Wilson area, where the Wilson area school district is. That's my area in Northampton County. And I saw Democrats going door to door. I never saw somebody from my community going door to door. They were all from New Jersey, from New York City, and from Massachusetts. And it's like they imported even their workers going door to door. And I think if you have someone come to your door, if you're moderate, ask them, are you from Bethlehem? Are you from, Mount
Yeah,
Bethel?
where
Are
are
you
you from?
from Nazareth? And find out if they really got bussed in from New York City or somewhere.
Yeah, they're all
That was
hired
amazing.
guns.
Say what?
They're all hired guns.
Hired
They're
guns. Yeah,
following
yeah,
orders.
yep.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Scott Janney, Scott Janney, I'm sorry, Scott
Thank you.
Janney, who is running for state senator in Pennsylvania. And we will see you again next time on The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines.
Right.
Good night.
Good night.
Stick around, Scott.